You're brilliant at your technical work, but at your company, people don't respect you as much as they should. Why? Because when you explain your science or technical work, people can't see why it matters. You don't yet know how to give a science briefing to your non-scientist colleagues or non-scientist managers. In this video, I'll share how you can fix this by running through 5 questions. Question 4 is especially important to help them trust you and to help them make a concrete decision. Before that, if this is the first time you're seeing me, I'm Irwan Hanish. I help people with their workplace communication, especially if English is not their first language. So I myself didn't grow up speaking English. As an adult, my English was embarrassingly bad and I struggled with communication. So I rebuilt the skill for myself and now I help others to do it faster with less pain, less embarrassment. So they become confident in their English communication at work. And one of the communication challenges at work for technical experts especially is delivering a science briefing to managers. I'll give you 5 questions that will help. So for each question, I'll give you 2 examples that come to mind. One is biology related because that's my educational background. And the other one is computer related because that's my personal interest background. That will help you see how the principles apply to different contexts. So your mind can figure out how to apply those principles to your situation. Question 1, what's your recommendation? You start the briefing with a sentence like this. We recommend decision or we recommend action. So for example, we recommend this enzyme formulation for the pilot run. Or another example is we recommend this authentication flow for onboarding. So you start with what you recommend, not with what you tested, not with the method. Why? Your manager wants the context that helps them decide first, not the full story yet. So you start with recommendation first. Question number 2, why is it important? So you can use this structure. This affects something by value. This affects cost by value. This affects time by value. So for example, this enzyme formulation cuts processing time by 10%. Or another example is, this authentication flow increases completion rates by 10%. So sometimes that's enough and sometimes it's not clear enough based on the background of your managers. So if it's not clear enough, you can add another layer of explanation. For example, you can say that this enzyme formulation cuts processing time by 10%. And when you have shorter processing time, you use less energy. So this new formulation saves us $100,000 per year in energy cost. And for the second example, this authentication flow increases completion rates by 10%. What that means is, for onboarding, this could add 1,000 new active users a month. And if each user brings us $100, this could add up to $100,000 per month, right? So you want to highlight the impact in measurable terms, in numbers. Which numbers? Well, numbers that your boss cares about, usually related to money or time. Question 3, what did you do? And now you can talk about your experiments or test. So the template is, we did test and found result. So for example, we compared 3 enzyme formulations and this one gave the highest yield. Or we A/B tested 3 versions of this authentication flow and this flow had the highest completion rate. So you explain what exactly did you do and what exactly did you find. And then you want to filter the resolution of the information, meaning you want to give a simplified version first. So I learned this principle from doing science communication and also from over 10 years of teaching complex science subjects. When I started my lecturing career, I had this impulse to share everything that I knew. And it didn't turn out well. Many of my students are smarter than I am because I teach at one of the top universities in my country. So they're smarter than I am, but I'm more familiar with immunology. I'm more familiar with microbiology, the subjects that I'm teaching. So when I tried to share everything, I confused my students. I overloaded their working memory. So it's like when you try to open too many tabs and your browser slows down. You can apply that principle to your science briefing. Your boss is smart, but they are less familiar with your technical area. So you want to give the simplified version first, and then you go deeper, case by case, depending on the part of the explanation that your boss is most interested in. That will create a better experience during the science briefing for both sides. Your manager will respect you more if you communicate science at their level of understanding. Question number 4, what's currently blocking you? Now you explain what is blocking progress. You can use phrases like the current limitation. So the current limitation is, for example, that finance hasn't approved the budget to run the pilot. Or the current limitation is that engineering hasn't finished the API updates needed for the new flow. You want to make it clear that this limitation is stopping the project from moving to the next step. When you're doing this, right, you want to watch your tone. You don't want to have like a complaining tone. You don't want to imply that, these finance people, these engineering people, they're so slow. I've been asking them to do this for months and they haven't done anything. So you want to adopt the tone of a scientist diagnosing a limiting factor. So you can imagine a scientist, he might say something like, during an infection, your immune cells don't perform as well. Why? Because it's rate limited by the signaling speed of a chemokine. So when a scientist does that, they're not complaining. They're not saying that, how horrible these immune cells are. Like they should do what they have, their job, right? They're so slow. I don't like immune cells. No, what they're doing, they just scientifically pointing out the limitations of an observed phenomenon, right? So at work, that's the tone you want to adopt. You are professionally pointing out what's blocking the project so that you, your manager, and other teams in your business can solve the problem together. Question 5, what help do you need? Now, after you have cleared the context, you ask for the next action. So it can be as simple as, we need approval to proceed. We need resources to proceed. So for example, we need finance to approve the budget for the pilot run. Or another example is, we need engineering to finish the update for the API. Now you want to be specific, especially about who and what. So who needs to do what for good things to happen? And more often than not, you want to include when as well. So who needs to do what by when? For example, we need finance to approve the budget by Q3. Why Q3? Well, because we want to run the pilot in Q4 so that by January next year, we can do the full production of the new formulation. Or another example is, we need engineering to update the API by the end of the month. Why? Well, because marketing told us that they want to run this new campaign next month. So we want to be able to deploy our new authentication flow then so that we don't lose customers. Yeah, so you relate your recommendation to the goal of the business. So those are the 5 questions that you can explore when you prepare to brief your manager. So to recap, when you want to brief your manager, you want to run your materials through 5 questions. Question number 1, what's your recommendation? Question number 2, why is it important? Question number 3, what did you do? The tests, the evidence that support your recommendation. Question number 4, what is currently blocking you? And question number 5, what help do you need? If you use this structure, your manager won't just think, wow, you're smart at your science, at your technical job. They will also think that, oh, you're clear, you're useful, you make my job easier. If you can communicate your work clearly, you're more likely to get the support and the respect that you need. And you become the person your company trusts with bigger opportunities. And that's how communication skills can help your career.